Real quick check-in at the beginning of the week to talk to you about what I've begun. We're not very deep into the week yet. So I have started the Bone Shard War, which I don't have downstairs, and I'm not going to run upstairs to grab super fast. I'll hold it up for you in the next clip. It's the third book after the Bone Shard Daughter and the Bone Shard Emperor. This is the third book. It's the conclusion to the trilogy. Now, I loved book one so much, and book two I also loved, not quite as much. I had a couple problems with book two that brought it just a tiny bit below book one. So that's an unpopular opinion. Most people that I've interacted with think that book one is okay and book two is excellent. And then early reviews, it seems like a lot of people are finding book three to be a bit disappointing. So hopefully, since I seem to be in the wrong order by popular opinion, that book one was the best and book two was also excellent but not quite there, hopefully I'll also be wrong about book three and I'll love it. But so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm 50 pages into it and it's been strong. So this is a story following Lynn and Jarvis as the main characters. In book one, Lynn is the Emperor's daughter, and her father has a lot of secrets about how he runs the kingdom and how he uses the magic of the land. They use bone shards, which are taken from the people, the residents of the kingdom, and it causes a lot of conflict. There's a lot of social and political unrest in this world, and we also follow some minor characters that are spread about this kingdom, this empire, this world, and it's their perspectives on the politics and the social situations in their areas as well, and they're all connected. So book three, I won't tell you what's going on in book three. That's just the super fast premise of book one. But I'm really enjoying it so far. The characters are continuing with the same kind of conflicts that they've had up to this point. That's just kind of, you know, a continuation, as books tend to be. And it's a very easy, even though there's 5 perspectives that we follow, and there's different locations and a lot going on, it's still so easy to follow. It's very simply written. The perspectives are easy to keep track of. It's like, I would call it like an intermediate fantasy, if you want that kind of categorization, where it's not the simplest thing, but it's really not that complex either. So it's just kind of, it's very fun for me to read. I just have a really good time reading it. And I'm having a really good time with book three. Also, as I'm reading that one, my audiobook, Under the Black Flag, The Romance and Reality of Life Among the Pirates. Oh, it's so good. I'm early on. I'm listening to the audiobook and I'm early on, but it's an accounting of some of the most notorious, famous pirates in our history, and it talks about the origins of the romanticization of pirates, stuff like Treasure Island and Peter Pan, some of my favorites, and how the swashbuckling tales of these morally gray men and women and the shenanigans that they got up to, where in reality it was criminals. Pirates were criminals. They weren't morally gray. They did horrible things like hacking people apart and like many bad things, and it's their true stories, and it's kind of like the de-romanticization of pirates while giving an honest history of piracy and of these notorious pirates that have become romanticized. So as someone who loves romanticized pirates, I love the swashbuckling tales. Most of my favorite stories are pirates who are morally gray and who, oh look, I'm wearing a pirate shirt right now, who are morally gray and who get up to misadventures. And you know, they're not good guys, but they're not like disgusting, they're not deplorable. And I as someone who, most of my favorite stories are swashbuckling tales, I love this history of famous pirates, as well as the de-romanticization, even though I'll never stop loving romanticized pirates. Not like romantic pirates, but you know what I mean, I think. I'll never stop loving pirates that are this fantastical adventure tale. I'm not gonna get tired of that. But learning the truth is a great balance to that. So I'm having the best time. It's very dry. It's not an interesting nonfiction but it is interesting. It's very factual. It's not like an interesting story. Does that make sense? I love it. So far, having the best time ever. Welcome to the vlog. So I've already finished reading through this week's section of Midnight Tides. I'm done with part 3, about to enter part 4. Holy cow, this has been the most readable Malazan book I've read. Really unputdownable, and this section being so, I don't know, there were a lot of slow moments, but there was also a lot of movement in this section, so it was just kind of hard to stop. A couple of people mentioned in the comments of my last week's vlog a little bit of disappointment that these check-ins with Malazan are spoiler-free or are a little bit too vague, so I'll try to do a little bit better. I do need to keep it spoiler-free for the vlogs because my vlogs are always spoiler-free, and I will have a spoiler discussion for it, a spoiler review for the whole book after I finish the book, so we will get into spoilers, but I'll try to do better in this one. The last one I did say Tahol and Bryce when I meant Tahol and Bug, because at the very end of part 2 there was a really good discussion between Tahol and Bryce that I had just read right before I chatted with you, and I messed up, so sorry about that. But Tahol and Bug are still, no, they're not actually. They're not the stars of the book anymore. That might be a little bit controversial to say, because who doesn't love Tahol and Bug? I do, but I think Kettle is stealing the show for me now. She's amazing. I love creepy stuff, and she's brilliant. I love her connection with the undead. I love her kind of disconnect with reality and people's motivations and what's going on in the physical world. But Tahol and Bug are easily a number 2. Oh my goodness, their dynamic, their relationship, the way Tahol, keeping it spoiler free, the way they speak to one another, and just how dry Bug is with every response, but they have such a layered and unique relationship that is forever the best. As far as duos go, forever the best. Part 3 is one where we got so much world building and so many reveals in part 2 that part 3 feels like a little bit less, but there's still a lot going on in part 3 as far as all that goes. We have God's Awakening and dragons, which we got some really big reveals around dragons in part 2, but we're getting more of that in part 3. Magic playing a pretty significant role in this section, and of course a lot of violence. A lot of battles, action, and characters getting their comeuppance. Characters who were violent and aggressive and horrible now having violence against them and all of that. And again, everything that Erikson writes is just very, very layered, where you don't there are very few characters that I all in root for, you know, like very few people are just like, I just want the world for you. Most of the time there's just a lot going on, and there's a lot of different ways to feel about it. Actually, the Emperor is a great example of that. A character who is new to a position, bad at it, bad at his treatment of other people, namely his wife, but also, like, there's there's layers to it. There's more to it than just, oh, you kind of suck as a person, which he does. But there's more to it than that, because you also kind of sympathize with the horrible position that he's been put in, and with how much suffering he himself is incurring, and that doesn't erase the suffering that he's causing to other people and his incompetence, to put it bluntly. It doesn't erase the things about him that make him very unlikable, but it also just adds more layers to it. It's like, I sympathize with you, I feel for you, but also, you do suck. Just all very fascinating. Just a lot. Erikson is just very good at not writing things plainly, and at creating scenarios, situations, and people where you kind of have to look at them from many different angles, and you're not, or at least I don't, a lot of times land in just like all hate, all love, but rather you're just a really complex situation scenario person, and I really, really love that about his writing. Kettle, though. Kettle's just a win all around. Book 2. I've also read the next 2 volumes of Yona, and oh my goodness, a lot of action happening there as well. Once again, I'm deep enough into the series that I really need to keep it fairly vague, but yeah, so Yona, oh my goodness, a lot more conflicts happening. I'm actually really rethinking my thoughts on Suwon, who up to this point I've been very convinced there was a deeper motivation and meaning that still has to be revealed, and I still think that about him. I still think that there's a lot more to be revealed about his character and why he's made the decisions that he's made and why he's made certain choices, but the more interaction I'm getting with him, the more I'm like, oh, maybe I'm like giving you too much credit. I don't know. Don't judge me on that. I'm discovering as I read, but I'm rethinking certain things, and it's just really, it's a complicated situation there too. But a lot of action is coming, a lot of devastation, a lot of sadness for some of my favorite characters that are in really, really difficult situations. Yona standing up for other people and being amazing as always. Our boys who are just the best boys, but also in a really bad situation right now. And it ended on quite the cliffhanger, the volume that I was on. It's just very tense. It's very tense right now. These volumes are very tense right now, but they're very, 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 very good. I'm still reading Boneshard Daughter. I'm still reading Boneshard War. I'm still reading my pirate nonfiction. I will not finish Boneshard War this week, but pirate nonfiction, look out. We may be getting that one done. I think that's all. Well, it'll be good. Done talking. Under the Black Flag was amazing. I think my biggest complaint about this nonfiction is that I wish he did more on the biographies of the pirates, the infamous pirates, because each individual one, I just wish it was longer, I guess is my complaint. I wish this nonfiction were longer, because each individual pirate just got like a little motif. It was just, here's a brief glimpse into what they've done. And I guess maybe that's part of de-romanticizing, but he just kind of said like, okay, so here's the pirate, here's what they did, what they were known for, here's what we believe happened, here's what we aren't so sure about, here's some inconsistencies, this record says this record says that, the pirate's known to have done this, but there's only one accounting of that, you know, just kind of, you know, it's history, so it's always going to come with its caveats of like, records are inconsistent and we don't actually know. And I will say that I, being the person that I am, for each of the pirate names that I know well or that their story was particularly interesting, I've gone down rabbit holes of just researching them more and learning more about the things that they did, which means that it has done a very poor job of de-romanticizing piracy for me. I mean, it spoke very bluntly about the horrendous acts that these individuals participated in, and yet I'm like, oh, that sounds like a cool cool battle. Let me go read more about it. So like Google's there, it exists. So it's not like this author had to give me every single detail of these pirates' lives, but I kind of wish he did. Like I wish it was longer, and I wish he told me more. But that just means I get to go on my own little treasure hunt and I get to find the more for myself, which also works. But it was fun, and it's ignited in me an excitement to learn more about these infamous pirates and to learn more about the horrible deeds that they've done. Still love my swashbuckling tales. That won't end, but you know, now I'm also very fascinated in their true lives. Super glad I didn't live in that time, but here we are. I did not finish the Bone Shard War this week. I'm a little bit over 400 pages into this book, which means that I have a little bit less than 200 pages left to read. I'd really like to finish it tomorrow, because if I can finish it tomorrow, then I can film my wrap up and get that wrap up on Friday, which would be ideal for me. Not that you care. What do you care about my schedule? Anyway, ideally I can finish it tomorrow, and I think I should be able to. Now that I've completed Under the Black Flag, really it's just the Bone Shard War and Malazan that have my focus, so I could just focus on the Bone Shard War tomorrow, and Malazan I can finish up over the weekend. But anyway, let's talk about the book, eh? It's very good. I'm enjoying it a lot. Especially the first part of the book, it felt like the plot was moving very slowly. There was something happening all the time. Like there was a lot of movement, but as far as what are we doing, what's our goal, what's the purpose that we're trying to serve here, it felt like in that way there was very little movement moving forward of the goals, but still a lot of movement of characters actively doing things. Does that make sense? But the characters themselves, I'm seeing a lot of individual growth as well as relational growth, and I love it. A lot of really great scenes. I'm definitely more of a character reader than a plot reader, so I'm really not fussed about the little plot problems that I have. I'm far more focused on watching these characters go through these hurdles, trying to figure out and strategize a way to save their kingdom, essentially. And I'm just so attached to the characters in this book. I'm so attached to them. I do still have the same problems with book 3 that I did with book 2, which is just, it's really a me problem. So many people are gonna love this about the series, but book 1 was very focused on individual struggles as well as kingdom-wide struggles, and book 2 added on top of the individual struggles and the kingdom struggles, it also added on top of that romance plots for multiple of our characters, and it was fine, but I don't necessarily love the way Andrea Stewart writes romance, because she relies heavily on people not talking things out enough, or around them attempting to talk things out and then being prevented externally from being able to communicate. So it's just a lot of, like, I don't know, I guess angst. I'm not into angst. And book 3 also had some angst. But as far as the core story and the core characters and character relationships, like them learning to trust each other or learning to overcome their own prejudices. There's certain types of people that are wrapped up in the magic system and the way magic is used on them or through them that different groups of people kind of view in different ways, and that, all of that, I think is just, these characters are flawed. They don't do everything right, but they do have my heart. Anyway, I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm having a great time. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect book. It's not a perfect series. And this is definitely a series that I could see a lot of people not connecting with. But to me, it's like, it's a really fun series. It's not the deepest or most complex thing that I've ever read, but it is fun, and I love it. I have so much fun reading it. So that's good enough for me. I've already started part 4 of Malazan, and I'm definitely finishing it this weekend. The Midnight Tides has been excellent. That's all. I hope you've enjoyed what you've read this week as well. I post videos every Monday and Wednesday on the main channel. Nope, Fridays on the main channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the second channel. I'll see you again soon. Bye.